Hello, and welcome to Legendarium GT. I'm Jingalls90, and with me today is Seeker.
Hey there.
And today, it's the beginning of the end for Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn as we start to Green Angel Tower Part 1.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, so I think when they break these up, they do put another title on that, and it is Green Angel Tower Siege, is what we're covering today, which is also chapters 1 through 26 of the book if it were all together, like we'd expect it to be. But this thing is quite the chonker.
Yep.
Yep. I think what we read today, the first 26 chapters, is still like 30 hours on an audiobook and
Yeah, we've got another
850 pages.
32 to go, I think. It's
Yeah.
it's just shy of 50. It's like 48% or something
Dang.
on the
Yeah.
audio.
Okay. So, yeah. So this is a big boy. We're going to break it up into two pieces. And for both pieces, we will do a quick spoiler-free section like we always do, just because I don't know why you would read a part 2 without reading the part 1. But
Because
you know,
that's how we do it here on Green
yeah.
Team.
But listeners, you might be curious how we feel about a second half versus a first half. So, with that all said, let's go ahead and get into it. Seeker, how do you feel about this first 800 pages?
I would easily give this section a 4.
Yeah.
Which is a
Okay.
drastic improvement from what I rated the last two. They're just I still have lots of plotting and technical issues with the way the author decided to tell the story, but I'm going to hold them in reserve until I know where the story's going, because maybe he has a very good reason for telling all these stories that seem completely irrelevant to me, you know.
Okay.
So the one thing that he hasn't done well, in my opinion, is foreshadowing in a way that things seem important all on their own. Lots of times I was like, okay, but why do we need to know this? And I'm just trusting the author that by the end of part 2, I will know why we needed to know that. But what I like more about this book is even those things are told in a much more enjoyable way. I really enjoyed listening to this book, and I actually made a discovery. One of the reasons I had such a hard time getting into parts 1 and 2 is the voice actor who reads the book.
Oh.
I speed him up to about, I think I sped him all the way up to 1.6, which for me is extremely fast. I rarely go above 1.2.
Yeah.
And I was able to keep my mind from wandering much better.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess with how we got criticized for calling this book so slow in, in the last episode, which I'm sorry, but yeah, we were for a book that is a little bit more slow paced. I can see why maybe listening to audiobook can be a little bit of a struggle, especially when the prose can be
Yeah,
very
he's
thoughtful.
a very good voice actor, but
Yeah,
he just kind of drones.
yeah,
So that when you're listening to a book that doesn't have a lot of action going on, and the voice actor doesn't have a lot going on with his voice, it doesn't help.
yeah. I think I agree with most of what you've said so far. This whole series has been a 4 to 5 star read for me all the way through, and this has been no different. I think I think this first half of a book is very obviously a first half of a book. So I'm trying not to criticize it for leaving a lot open at the end. But by the end of this first half, I felt like we were moving into the conclusion of something.
Yes, it definitely, like if this were a Sanderson novel, we would be hitting the Sanderlanche would be book 2 or
Yeah.
part 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is exactly what this is. And that's not to say that this is a very inactive first half. There is a whole fight, a whole battle war going on.
Well, not only that, there's a whole the princess is one non-stop series of adventures.
Yeah.
Yes, she's traveling, but it's adventuresome traveling. It's not tedious traveling.
And I'd say she's the primary focus of this first half, right? I think
Oh, absolutely.
we find ourselves absolutely focusing on Miriam because we still need to get her to the Stone of Farewell, and
Hmm.
they take Williams takes his time doing it,
Hmm.
but every moment that she's on the page, I actually found myself like really loving what was happening development wise between her and Kadrak,
Hmm.
and just how their relationship has formed to kind of be one of understanding and dependability where it was not that before. Um, and then also, we get some of these smaller loose threads like Tiamat and things where they all start kind of combining and coalescing,
Hmm.
which I also appreciated. So yeah, I do think that overall this has been a great start to the finish. I'm looking forward to what comes next. I really think the midway point where the book's split in half, it's getting you so ready. It's getting you so
Hmm.
ready, and and then I think thematically speaking, like we're starting to see what obsession and possession, what kind of toll that can have on a person when they have a perceived absolute power,
Or they're crazy.
or they're just crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, and we continue to see those dynamics growing on the
Because honestly, as Joshua, uh, not not Joshua, sorry, Joshua's brother,
Elias.
Elias, as Elias becomes more dictatorial, it's very obvious he's actually losing control of his kingdom.
Hmm.
So he's not actually gaining power. He's just becoming more and more obsessive
Yeah.
and more draconian. But all of his, he's losing followers right and left throughout this. Every time we go see him, and it's very obvious that it's not the Red Priest,
Ratis.
Irati. Yeah, it's very obvious that his goal is not to help him become a powerful king by the end of this
Right.
book.
Yeah.
Whatever his goal is, it ain't that.
No, but even then, whatever Pyrati's plan was seems to also be kind of slipping from his grasp a little bit as
There are
Elias.
hints of that. Yeah, things aren't going quite as he wanted.
Yeah. So cool. Okay. Well, if you've made it this far, finish the book. Come on now. It's great.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I'm seriously considering adding this whole trilogy to my to be reread list, maybe in a year
Oh,
or two,
okay.
uh,
That's
because there's enough in here that I know I've missed because I didn't recognize significance and I didn't know what to look for.
yeah.
And maybe not book one, but definitely book two and book three. Are like, okay, let's go back over this and see what exactly was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like I feel pretty comfortable making this comparison at this point where Tad Williams' writing is like the Steven Erickson primer, right? Like you're very much on the path of something like Malazan where it's a large 10-book series that has just a ton of interweaving storylines and things. But this is still only 3 books, even if
Yeah,
they're gigantic books. Um,
yeah.
and there are less storylines, so it is something that like if you're familiar with that kind of interweaving and epic saga, this is right up there with some of the greats.
Hmm.
So all right, you want to give us our synopsis?
Will do. Simon gets some training, suffers PTSD, finally remembers to give Prince Joshua a magical horn, and struggles with the morality of killing in battle. Methinks he's either read too much or not enough St. Augustine. But regardless of his moral qualms, he acquits himself well in battle. Prince Joshua spends most of his waking hours feeling guilty about the men and women who will die under his command and following his orders. His wife interprets all of this as neglect of her. But paying attention to his wife doesn't help either, as he wants her to rest so as not to risk her pregnancy, which she interprets as being infantilized. But regardless of all his hand wringing, he proves to be a pretty good strategist. Prince Mariamel has the most interesting adventures in this book. She and Kadrak, with the help of the ship's Miski, escape their boat prison. Upon making it to shore, they team up with Tiamak and Duke Iskimnor. Together, they adventure through the swamps, and we learn a lot of Kadrak's backstory. Eventually, all our primary protagonists are reunited at the Stone of Farewell, where they are attacked by an army sent by Prince Joshua, an army that has enlisted the aid of the Thrivings folks, or as we like to call them, our in-world Dothraki. Meanwhile, in the Hayhold, King Elias continues his descent into madness, and Rachel the Dragon Lady begins to make a cautious acquaintance of the now blinded Guthwolf. And that's it. I chose to divide this review up into characters rather than book chronology because this book jumps all over the place constantly.
Good call. Good call. I will. We still do have Aelair and Megwin in there too. I will just say,
Yeah,
even
I
though
skipped them.
yeah, even though their roles are continuing to be well, no, I mean not as baffling this time around. I mean,
Yeah, well, they also
not
really
in it.
don't do much other than the
Yeah,
Scythe come and rescue them. Like, okay,
yeah, and Jariki
and we
does.
really don't
Yeah,
know what the Scythe are up to or why or how or.
yeah. I mean, Jariki clearly has some plans for Megwin and Aelair, and
Mhm.
their role in what's to come. Um,
Yeah,
but
and Megwin is what do they say, nuttier than a fruitcake? She thinks she's
yeah,
dead.
she does. She thinks she's dead and that she's speaking to gods,
Mhm.
which is a great place for your ruler to be when you have basically no home at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the only advantage is she's no longer constantly living in a state of terror of what might happen. I mean,
Right.
she reveals that she was living that all of her lunacy in the previous books were motivated by this like deep-rooted almost paranoia of everything.
Right. But
And
now,
now that she thinks she's dead, all that paranoia is gone.
yeah, but I would kind of argue that the idea of going to the other end of that spectrum, to the side where you just do not care about anything because you do not believe anything can hurt you, is far more dangerous than being a little scared of a couple things.
Well, far more dangerous to your body, yes. But
Yeah.
I mean, she was in danger of a full mental breakdown, which may have been what actually happened. She might have just had a
Yeah.
full-blown psychotic break.
No, I think that's
So,
exactly what happened to her. But yeah, I mean, it's not just her that we're talking about that she's endangering, right? She is endangering her people in the process. Um,
mhm.
it
Well,
is
at the moment, she can't do much damage because the elves are running everything.
right. So,
So she hasn't actually made any bad choices yet.
yet,
And I'm just hoping that her Isgrimnor will, he's definitely recognized her illness. And so hopefully he'll have enough um, mental strength to, humor her at best or actually tell her no at worst.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
So, but yeah,
But
that's
even the
probably
elves can't cure her.
no. And I think that's probably all we really have to say about Megwin and Aelair at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we'll move on from them, but their roles in this series continue to be the ones that I'm just like so captivated by because they seem so unimportant.
Yeah. I can't describe my situation. I agree with unimportant, and
Yeah,
I am just as uninterested as they are unimportant.
yeah.
I'm just
I
like, okay,
Yeah. Williams has yet to let me down on having a payoff for things. So I guess that's
yeah,
where I'm at right now is the anticipation of what
yeah.
that payoff is.
Well, that's what
I'm
I said
waiting
at
to
the
see it.
beginning. There's all kinds of things and plot lines that I would have an issue with, except I don't know how they're going to pay off. So if they do pay off well, I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the problem with you know, judging a book when you've only read half of it.
Right. Exactly. So we can get back to the bulk of it. When we start this book, we find everyone is kind of in a celebratory mode, even though they understand that there's there's evil all around them,
Well, Joshua's
especially
people are in a celebratory mode.
yeah, yeah. At the Stone
Yeah.
of Farewell,
Miriam L definitely is not.
Miriam L is not. Miriam L is in a bit of a torturous situation. But yeah, so for Simon and for Joshua, they are excited to be back together. So much so that Joshua actually knights Simon, which is really cool.
Mhm.
and we get to that kind of becomes the crux of what Simon is learning throughout this book so far
Yeah.
is the power, what it means to be a knight, the responsibility of that
I
role.
actually have to wonder if characters like the psychological navel gazing that characters like Aragon and uh, Kaladin Stormblessed do throughout the books weren't inspired by the way Simon does his thing. Because this is I can't think of another older epic fantasy where any of the characters actually do this kind of moral agonizing over things like killing, you
Um,
know.
yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've read it, but I've always kind of got the impression that this is more of an Arthurian trait, right? Like, I feel like this is a once and future
I
king
have never
style
read The Once and
input.
Future King, so I have no
Okay,
idea.
yeah, but I totally agree with you. I mean, I
I
think
watched
they
the old
all
black and white King Arthur movie, but
sure.
you know.
Or even like I guess even the Disney Sword in the Stone like has some concept of this going running through it.
I mean, he wants to be a good king, but like, one thing that all of that those two have in common is this: they're my enemies, but in another situation, they might be my friends, and all they're doing is following orders. Am I does my killing them make me a bad person morally? Whereas like take the Wheel of Time, where our three hero boys refuse to kill women. They don't moralize about it. That's just who they are and what they do. They don't question it. It's just I can't kill women.
Right.
And so but it's this moral agonizing that I just don't think I've seen in anything like in any popular fantasy written at this time or before.
Yeah. I guess he's not a boy, but I feel like Elric kind of has a similar
Elric
one.
in what
Elric,
what
that's Michael Moorcock's stories, the albino king that is an elf,
I've
like
never
he's
read
an
it.
elf. Oh, okay. He's it's from the 60s and
Okay.
onward. Kind of the similar like kind of a similar like take where we're taking the Conan style character and turning him full on into a philosopher king, and
Huh.
thinking about like he's constantly agonizing about what's destroyed his kingdom and how it could be improved if people just opened up and spoke to each other, but that's not what they do. And
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily question why he kills people, but doesn't let it go either.
Interesting.
So just like the, I mean, yeah, I do agree with you that like this is probably a heavy inspiration for a lot of it, but I do think it's drawing from something that's a little older and a little
Mhm.
more maybe evolving it in a way.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, that's generally the case with all art is it evolves off other art,
yeah.
you know.
But I do enjoy these scenes where the newest character, and I think he showed up in Dragonbone Chair as well, but Jeremiah as his squire is a great addition. Do you know who I'm talking about? The guy who gives him a hard time for marrying
Oh yeah,
off
yeah.
and doing
Yeah. The kid he used to pretend to train with,
yeah,
the fat kid who got rescued from the furnaces.
yep.
Yep.
And then it's just like
Yeah.
it's
And
like
he takes the
I'm
stuffing out of Simon pretty efficiently.
very efficiently. I was like, this is a quality squire
Mhm.
character.
I see you're getting a bit full of yourself. Let me remind you who you are. I love the scene in the banquet hall where they start basically being like 14-year-old boys pulling each other's hair, and the elves are all like, this appears to be some kind of dominance ritual amongst you. They're trying to anthropomorphically or not anthropomorphically, anthropologically analyze the behavior of these two idiots.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God. Oh no, it was the dwarves, not the elves. And
Yeah.
they're like, I wish Nineveh is here to translate so we can understand what they're saying to each other. And it's like they're insulting each other's anatomy or whatever. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
Lord. And
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this
then they
this book
realize
is
that the
full of humor.
entire room is staring at them, and they like try to pretend they're all grown up.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
good.
It's so good. Yeah. I
Mhm.
I do enjoy the humor in this book. I think it it fits appropriately into what's
Yeah.
going on.
And I will say, I much prefer this depiction of mood swings in a pregnant wife to Robert Jordan's.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Speaking of characters that seem like other characters, she like really feels at times like Perrin's wife
Oh, wow. Okay. Fail.
to
I
me.
wouldn't have thought of Fail.
Fael, yeah, but I've never really had as big a problem with Fael as others have. But
No.
I can sometimes it
Well,
can get to you.
I mean, Jordan wrote women a certain way, very bossy, very domineering. And that's just how he wrote women. And so when he wants to make a woman who comes from a culture of strong women, let's just say he dials it up to 11.
Yeah,
It's like, how do you make a bossy woman when all your women are bossy? Well, you make her extremely bossy.
yeah. You make her unstoppable is what you do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we get our biggest action scenes out of the Stone of Farewell as well, because when Simon is first coming in, the water is only starting to freeze. And then once they're all together, it becomes a nice big bridge for Elias's armies to come across.
Yep.
And these battles are so cool. Like, I love the idea of Benedict's team like setting up skis and skates, and they're running
Yeah.
across and just zooming across the lake and taking people out. And then they're like setting up
And
giant
spiked horseshoes so that it grips the ice.
yep, and just totally at an advantage.
And I do like the fact that he wasn't just following orders, unlike the guards he was commanding. He was a bad person.
He
So
is, yeah.
we're actually happy when he gets his comeuppance.
Which is also done in a great way. Like
Yes.
the mayor Hallgrim, remember the name, the man who martyred himself and his daughters to make sure that a war ended. Just
Yep.
so
Oh,
impressive.
to make sure that particular guy died.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he cared so much about winning the war as much as killing that one guy who massacred his entire village.
It's one way to do it though.
Yeah, and what is it with these blood crazy dictators who will go and massacre villages, take captives, and assume they're not going to be a danger to them? It's like, what's wrong with your brain?
And they're blinded by the power they think they have. The power
Yeah.
that they do have,
Like, you
unfortunately,
terrorize people
sometimes.
enough, they will reach a point where they don't care if they live or die as long as they take you with them.
Yep.
There's a
Absolutely.
similar scene in did you ever read the Nantucket trilogy by S.M.
Mm-mm.
Stirling?
No.
We got to do that one someday. But there's a scene where these captives who have been terrorized and are used as waiters are suborned to sneak poison into the food, and the main person who does the torture and terrorizing is so shocked and is like, "How could you do this?" Just assuming that they had been completely cowed into complete trustworthiness or something. And
Yeah.
it's like, no,
No. Don't
that's
don't be
never
that
going to
deluded.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be so deluded as to believe you have that power.
hmm
It's absolutely absurd, but
Even Machiavelli said it is better to be loved.
mhm,
It's like, yeah,
yeah.
feared might work, but it's a lot better to be loved. Kind of reversing the emphasis on Machiavelli, but
Yeah. But still,
hmm
no, it is one of those things. Like, I'm not having a hard time seeing some of these guys get their comeuppance in this book.
oh no,
Uh, asbestos too. Asbestos. I want to call him
that's Spidey.
asbestos.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, at least his face has been ruined.
Yeah, among other things.
I mean, this also is a long time annoyance of mine in a lot of television and fantasy, fantasy television and stuff. They don't actually kill the bad guy when they're down.
Yeah,
And it's like, are you trying to maintain your own air of, you know, goodness, or, it's like, I was just there's this scene in it's an old, I think it's The Robe Part 2. I'm not sure. But this big guy's like, "Is it true when you strike a Christian he must turn the other cheek?" And the Christian's like, "Yeah." Whacks him. And his friend walks up and he just looks at the guy who just hit the Christian and goes, "I'm not a Christian." Wham, decks him. It was like, exactly. Where is that? But yeah, the idea, this might be a little controversial, but in my opinion, the idea of pacifism as a morality, I believe, is traced directly back to Christianity and the example of Christ. And as far as I can tell, that particular moral outlook really only exists in the Western world. I mean, there's some aspects of it in Buddhism, but it's I don't really understand it, so I'm not going to try to explain why and how the Buddhists think.
Sure.
But, with Christianity, it's very much no. Christ went to the cross without even trying to defend himself. And therefore, we should do the same type situation. And I just, and Jesus healing the soldier whose ear Peter chopped off. It's like, we're not God incarnate, people.
No.
So it frustrates me when fantasy characters, possibly for their own sense of moral uprightness, don't finish the job and end up putting themselves in more danger later on in the book.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't think it's full on pacifism. I think there's a lot of what Kamaris is trying to instill with Simon throughout most of this book when they're discussing like you got knighted, but do you really understand like what responsibility that carries
Yeah.
with you? Like, yes, you have to
Well,
kill people,
Kamaris,
you have to do all these things.
yeah, Kamaris sets the knightly code,
Yeah.
or at least how he perceives it. And I guess in Miriam Mel's case, it could be written up to fear, but it just, I see it so often in so many shows, that, especially young adult fiction, which, okay, almost nobody is ever killed in young adult fiction, so maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
But it just seems very, why does nobody but the bad guys finish the job? Or, they get themselves in a situation where they die because they did their own stupidity, when the hero could have ended it earlier. It's the Batman problem. Why does
Yeah.
Batman never end the Joker? And is Batman responsible for everyone the Joker kills because Batman won't kill the Joker?
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. It's a bit of a conundrum. I think where Williams is heading though is that is not necessarily the answer to these things.
Mhm.
Like I don't think
Yeah, we
there's
will
ever
have to see
the
how this ends, and I
yeah,
am far more excited about seeing how he wraps it up than I was at the end of the last book.
yeah. I don't think he's ever really espousing the idea that you have to be a pacifist by any means. I think it's very
Mhm.
much more focused on the idea of you just need to understand why you're choosing to take an action.
Okay, so self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I not only think would make more sense, I completely agree with that. Don't take an action unless you not only understand why it's necessary, but understand why it's necessary for you to do it and why you think it's
And why
necessary for
you
you to
think
do
it's
it. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and again, and like, yeah, it comes down to like what Camaris is talking about. For Miriam L has very much the journey of empathize, learning empathy, right? She still has
Mhm.
some traits that she is one of our two big escape artists in this series. Her and Kadrak are two sides of the same coin, realistically. Both spend their entire time in this series running away from things,
Mhm.
right? Kadrak out of cowardice and perhaps a little bit of cowardice and self, just trying to protect himself.
Mhm.
Whereas Miriam L is running because she's not getting the solutions she needs, and so her actions drive her to run. Right? And the first time that it really becomes a matter of preservation is to get rid of a Spidey's. Like
Mhm.
the rest of her running usually has to do with people not doing what she wants.
Yeah, she
Uh,
thinks she knows the answer,
yeah,
which
and
at one point she realizes that she got herself into all these problems because she was convinced that only she could save the day and no one would listen. And then at the
right,
end of the book, she's doing it again.
she is. Yeah, she has the behavior has not changed.
No.
She is Joshua has not fixed my problem yet again. I am going to go take care of it.
Yeah, and she even admits, I don't know why I think it's important. I just know it is, so I'm going to do it. And it's
Yep.
like,
I just know this is what I need to do. Yeah.
mhm.
And even even Simon, with what he's being taught and how he's trying to also fight this. Well, maybe fighting's the wrong word, but he's trying to acknowledge that his love for Miriamel might not be reciprocated, and
Mhm.
that might be okay. But he does have a responsibility to her because he is her
Yes.
knight now. And
Yeah.
so he does take that as like as an opportunity to be near her, even if she doesn't want to be with him.
But he's being, especially for when this was written, he's being extremely respectful of her. I mean, that's
Hmm.
a lot of that I think is because she's a princess and he recognizes the difference in their station.
Yeah,
But he could be resentful, he could be angry, he could be all these other things, and he's felt all those things, but he's chosen to be to strive for the moral high ground within himself when it comes to
yeah,
how he thinks about her. You
yeah.
know,
And
And
well,
I thought that was
that
very
and
well
then
done.
yeah, I think it's very well done. I don't feel very cringy about this particular state of their relationship.
No,
Maybe
not at
a
all.
little maybe a little frustrated.
I feel a little sorry for Simon and a little
I feel
annoyed at
sorry
Mary Mel, but
I feel sorry for her too because this is like kind of a self-loathing aspect of her that is
Mhm.
driving her in this certain direction. Like she believes she has a duty towards her father, that she needs to take care of something. And for whatever reason, like we know she loves Simon. She's admitted that to herself, but she just cannot bring herself to believe that she is worthy of that love for whatever reason. It's very
Yeah,
strange to me.
well, I mean, I think part of it is she's terrified of the relationship and how everyone else will react to it. But also, ever since her defilement on the boat, she feels unworthy, like she's been uh not exactly soiled, but damaged as a romantic partner, you know.
Sure.
But there's also the idea that she doesn't have time for relationships because she has to do something with her father that she doesn't is not said. We don't know what that is. But she feels like she has to take care of whatever it is she thinks she owes the world with that before she can move on with her own life.
Yeah.
So,
And that
I
was a
did
big
find the whole storyline though with what's his name? The priest, the companion of
Shadrach.
Miriamel. It was, yeah,
Shadrach.
I found that really interesting how he was brought in as one of the scroll bearers, found the book that everybody desperately wanted, but decided to read it first, and the reading kind of drove him crazy and he
Yeah.
became a raging alcoholic. And, and then because of every bad thing he did, it reminded me of this Bill Cosby comedy routine called Bill Cosby Himself, where he's talking
Yeah.
about drugs. And he goes, drugs are a trap. You don't have any food in the refrigerator, so you get high. And when you come down, someone's stolen your refrigerator. And it's like that's what I very much see with Cadrak. He drinks to forget his problems, but every time he drinks, he just creates a new problem for himself. The most recent of which is getting on the wrong boat, then getting drunk after he escaped, so he's easily recaptured. You know, it's just he just can't control himself, but then he blames himself.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
so it's
then
it's
and he continues to show in different ways that having someone that believes in him might actually be like his way to healing, right? Like he keeps
possibly, but he
doing
has to
these
let it.
yeah. I mean, he keeps doing these self-destructive things, but
Mhm,
we do get once Tiamat takes them into the swamp. We do get a moment where he is tested.
mhm,
Isgrimnir is very sure that the Gants are going to get them because Kadrek cannot be trusted to be in the boat alone. Miriamel, on the other hand, is like, after hearing his story, is no, I think I understand this guy now, and
mhm.
she's not entirely sure why she's choosing to do it, but she does trust him.
Yeah,
And
well, that's
honestly,
that's a
that's experience and exposure too, right? Like she has had plenty of time to understand that this guy has her best interests at heart, whether he realizes it or not.
yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, Miriam L trusts her instincts. She very much trusts her own gut, no matter how many times it's failed her. So, I don't know how smart that is, but in this case, it works out great.
It works out
But
great. I mean,
he's also, though, like, he ends up abandoning the crew rather than meet up with everybody at the stone. So,
yes.
again, I'm still putting him in the Gollum category. He obviously has a role to play for good or ill,
His role might be done at this point. He might have been, his role was to protect Miriam Ellen.
Yeah,
Now it's
true.
up.
His role might have been just to get the princess back alive,
Yeah. After
and to
leaving with her. Yeah.
pass on the nuggets of information he remembered from the book that he prevented the people who actually needed it from reading.
Yeah. Yeah, because he gave that to Tiamat and Benabik and Father
Yeah,
saying
told him what he remembered.
saying weird. Yeah. So um no, Miriam Ellen and Kadrak are by far the best developed characters in this first half for me, and I
Hmm.
really did enjoy watching, like, having kind of the opposite effect of Stone of Farewell. Like their parts were the highlights for me in this book.
Yes, absolutely. I enjoyed their sections the most.
Even despite the really cool action scenes. Although Tad Williams is one of our don't show a lot authors when it comes to battles.
No, no.
He shows some really cool stuff, but there are also times where it is
Mostly
truly
it's just
just
vague big picture stuff and
yeah,
snapshots.
yeah. It's like Simon didn't know what he was doing, but he ran through like 12 people and killed them all within the last 2 hours or something.
Hmm.
You know, time dilation is an interesting part of what he is doing with his writing here. And honestly, you know what? For a guy who took 800 pages just to get us to halfway through this story, that's okay. I
Yeah,
don't need
yeah.
all of the
No,
fight
he,
scenes.
he is definitely picking up the pacing of the
Yeah.
of the events in this, which I
He's trying
greatly
to
appreciate.
it feels like, and not to the detriment of anything, it feels like he's trying to put everything together and that
Hmm.
he's finally
Yeah,
sewing
and it is
sewing this
coming
tapestry
together.
closed. Yeah.
You know.
um and it, there were a lot of loose ends still at the end of Stone of Farewell, and looking at some of the reviews and watching some videos about that book after we had recorded, people were not big fans of Stone of Farewell because of how meandering it felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to be curious to see if they feel like they got payoff at the end here,
Yeah.
because it certainly to me so far feels like payoff.
Yeah, I am anticipating a good payoff, and not just a quick wind up, but an actual good story concluding, and this is why this had to happen type stuff.
Okay, so we talked about Simon, we talked about Miramel, Kamaris. I've kind of gone over a little bit, but he was a cool add-on because we finally have the owner of Thorn showing up
Mhm.
uh, in the story, and he is an old dude. He's got a really strong philosophy. He knows what it means to
Yeah.
be a knight, but you can also tell that there is some sort of shame hiding in that guy. There is
In
something
some
that
ways, I picture him like the old Earth Kingdom king from Avatar. The old skinny king,
yeah,
much less lively and fun, but in my mind, that's what he looks like. Missing a
rip that
couple of
man,
teeth, scraggly beard, super skinny arms, but super feisty and strong.
rip that man's cloak off, and he is buff as hell.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed him, and again, we've got a little bit of mystery because the first thing, I don't know if you, the first thing that happens when he arrives at the Stone of Farewell is there is a guy who comes up to him and is like, "I did not tell them anything," and then that guy dies later
Hmm.
mysteriously. Kamaris did something bad. That's
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but he did
And
something really
it
bad.
appears that he was magically, um, like his loss of memory was a magical thing because it was cured by
Yeah.
blowing the horn. And his first
Yep.
thing is, it appears my punishment I won't, he considers living sane to be a punishment.
Yeah. So just one last little crumb for because we needed more storylines.
Yeah,
This world building is
more
fantastic.
mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's another thing with all the voyages and adventures of Miriam Mellon crew is we got a lot of very interesting world building. along with some very odd spider creatures.
The Gants. I love the
The
Gants.
Gants.
The Gants. They're great.
You know,
I
it's
love
like one of
the description of
Shelob's,
them.
some of Shelob's blind descendants.
Yeah. What were the? And then we also get this. There's some really cool monsters in this
Mhm.
series. I mean, we get some classic ones like the trolls, but then yeah, the Gants and then the sea
The old
serpents
grandfather
are also
alligator.
grandfather alligator. Yep, some real proper swamp talk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's all real good. Let's see here. What other components of this story are we not talking about so far? I mean, I would go to I would go to the Hayholt and do some discussion there, but honestly, it's just not really much going on.
No,
Rachel
there's
continuing to
just
do her.
Rachel and what's his name? Kind of is he safe to approach? Is he not? And him thinking he's gone crazy, possibly in hell.
Yeah.
Except the cat keeps him sane.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I was still continuing
mhm.
some of that horror stuff.
One thing I found significant is Guthwolf is like being drawn to the sword, and it seems like Rachel like invokes the well, this world version of Jesus, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like that compulsion has been severed after that. Like it
Yeah.
did something to Guthwold, so he's no longer under the enchantment or enthrall to the sword. So that's going to be interesting to explore in the second book. What happens there?
There. Well, I also think Guthwolf and Rachel are Simon and Miriamel's way back into the Haywold. I think that's what they're really being set up for, is to get them back into the building, into
Could
the
be,
fortress.
yeah, could
And
be.
then once but yeah, I think Guthwolf must be at some point he'll be the holder of sorrow. If that's really what we're going for here. I the swords are still such a mystery to me as to what like
Yeah,
true role. They're clearly playing roles within the smaller parts of the story, but I really don't know like what's the importance of these three swords coming together. That's still very much a mystery.
I don't know. Unless they pull a Voltron, I'm completely out of guesses.
Completely out of the guesses on that one. I did. This did come back to me. I do like that every time we go back to the Hayholt, we do get like scenes of Elias just being absolutely pissed that his servant is like smiling all the time,
Mhm.
and that he's just like totally creeped out by it. It's like, what is this guy
Yeah,
doing?
I don't know why. I mean, every time I hear a description of that servant, it's like one of the Joker's laughing gas or
That's
smiling
pretty much
gas
what it
technique.
is. Like the
Joker
guy's just
venom.
constantly
Eee!
smiling.
The spasm locked, Cheshire grin on his face.
Yeah. It's like there is something wrong with this dude. You should be unsettled, Elias.
But again, the Red Priest is just like, yeah, he's fine. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, what
this
did
is
you do
normal.
to him?
This is as expected.
But yeah, what do you think? Again, I'm blanking on his name, but the Red Priest's goal is.
Hierarchies. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
priorities.
I would have said that his role was to get Inaluki in charge, was to to move
Uh-huh.
that along. But the more that he in this book, it became more clear to me that Pyrates definitely sees Elias as a puppet. But even though Elias is clearly becoming more possessed by Inaluki, Pyrates doesn't seem to like that. So I
Mhm.
do kind of wonder if he maybe, and Pyrates is also one of the people who has read the book, right? Kadrek's book. So
Yes.
he knows the secrets in it. So I think in some ways he may have been trying to manipulate this for
Mhm.
himself, and it's just not going well anymore. I don't know
Yeah.
if he ever actually had any respect or allegiance to Inaluki at the start.
Yeah, I'm coming up with the same thing. I don't the it's almost like he's trying to use Enaluki in order to accomplish something, but he doesn't want to give up. He's not trying to put Enaluki in charge. He does not want to end up Enaluki's servant.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Um, so I do
And
kind of
then
wonder if we're going to see some crazy betrayal from him down the road as well.
And then there's the the ancient of the city, the old grandmother or whatever it is, who she says that a couple of her strands have snapped, but they're minor and they can be repaired. And
Yeah.
the discussions about hers, what I found significant was one of the cities saying that she knows she's dying, but she's so ancient and so full of hate that she wants to take the whole world with her when she goes. And I was like,
He's
oh boy. So it's possible that she might even betray Inaluki.
yeah.
Use Inaluki to destroy the world and then betray him and take him with her.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's on track.
It's very well, there's just a certain type of villain that kind of thinking, goes with.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
What was it? Let the I've got like a line from a movie stuck in my head. Let the whole world let the whole world burn if I die, or something to that effect.
sounds like a Shakespeare quote of some kind.
It might have been, or it might have been Quo Vadis, with Nero saying it,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. I can't even picture it. It's just it's just the line is there, kind of half there.
Sure.
This is what happened when you watched a lot of historical epics as a kid.
Keep all that fancy Roman talk in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have anything else you want to add? I think we're kind
Nope.
of hitting the
We're pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah. Yeah. All in all, a very much a step up from book 2, and I am very much looking forward to the second half of book 3.
Yeah, same. I think we can do maybe some minor predictions. Well, not minor, they're huge predictions at this point. I do think we are heading towards a path where Miriam L does kill her father. I think that's
Okay.
being set up pretty cleanly.
Okay. I'm thinking there's a bigger chance of Simon and Miriam Mel getting together than I did at the end of the last book.
Yeah. I think it's almost inevitable at this point, now that they're especially paired
Mhm.
in work, if not in love.
Well, they're both paired in denial.
Yeah, they're paired in denial for sure. Let's see here. Joshua, I think, lives through this bad boy. I think Joshua continues to show that he is not really concerned with the Hayholt, because that is not where his army is going. His army is going back to his keep.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
Green Angel
Joshua.
Tower is not where everyone's going at the end of To Green Angel Tower.
Yeah. Well, at the end of part 1 of it, anyways.
Yeah. But the way that the pacing of these books go, I just don't see that army being at Green Angel Tower by the time before Simon and Miriam will get there on their own, because they also have their
Yeah.
whole camp being exploded to deal with.
I love that at the end, yeah, where they're going away and the tent bursts into flames and Miriam L's like, "But somebody might get hurt." He's like, "Well, if you're going to run away, you can't go back."
Yeah, it's like, that's a distraction. That's good for you.
I love how once Simon decided to go with her, though, it's like he could have so used that to delay her and get her caught. But once he decided he was going with her, it's like, okay, we're going, you
We're
know?
out. We out. We out of
And
here.
yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Benedict lives to see another day. He's going to be Simon's advisor for sure.
Hmm.
Kadrak, I could see sacrificing himself. I think that's another thing that's been pretty strongly built up, is he is ready to sacrifice himself if he does show up in this book again,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah,
And
I could
I
see
mean,
that. Continuing
he is
with our Gollum analogy.
yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? He is the one with the closest ties to priorities. Like that's the
Yes.
guy that he's gonna fight.
Yeah.
If they really feel like if Williams really feels like pairing things off that cleanly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would be interesting. Like, is he Gollum or is he uh Matt at the end of the Wheel of Time? You know,
Yeah.
after being exposed to the evil dagger, it has no power over him.
Yeah.
So
He's coming around. So
yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I do hope he shows up again.
oh, so do I. I was kind of joking earlier. I don't think that he is done by a long shot. He's one of like 6 characters that we've actually had a lot of time and development with.
Mhm.
It'd be hard to see him just go.
Yeah.
Um, so good. All right. Well, I look forward to
All right.
finishing this with you, Seek. We'll hopefully be doing that in the next month or so. I'm jumping right back into the next book, so I'll be
Okay,
reading
cool.
fast.
Yeah, I'll prioritize getting it
But
read as well.
everyone that's still around, thank you for listening. We will see you again shortly with To Green Angel Tower Part 2. For Legendarium GT, this is Jingles and Seeker. Thanks for listening.
Signing out.
Bye.
Bye.
That concludes our episode. Please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Give us 5 stars and drop us a review on Spotify, iTunes, or any podcast app that allows reviews. You can find us on the Legendarium Discord. The invite link is on legendarium.com and in the show notes. Green Team of the Legendarium can be found on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and wherever great podcasts are heard. Thanks to Professor Craig for loaning us a little corner of your media empire. Shout out to Horizon Brave for starting it all. Music is Galactic Damages by Jingle Punks.